Let's talk about Christian nationalism, or, something like that. Hello, good people. Todd Shannon, data scientist, social commentator, getter of El Bucketos. Why can't I? You know what? I've been struggling with my monitor. I don't know what's going on. There, that's better. All right, I think that's a little bit better. All right, so I came across this little video from a pretty funny channel that I came across several years ago. They actually did some pretty funny videos about theology, which some of you might not find theology funny. And theology generally is not funny, but they made it funny, hence the reason why I think they're funny. So this is from a channel called Lutheran Satire, and they did a little animation or a little show or a little episode about Christian nationalism, quote unquote. And so I thought we'd watch it together and laugh a little bit, and also use it as a teachable moment, because I think there's some good stuff to be learned from this video. So without further ado, let's just get right into it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Is This Christian Nationalism? The show where a bunch of lunatics argue about a concept that has absolutely no functional definition whatsoever. I'm your host, Kip Sweatervest.
All right, so a little inside baseball here. Sweater vest, that's really funny. I think this might be a shot at what's my guy named? Blog and Mayblog. Doug, what's Doug's last name? I'm going to just call him Uncle Doug. I don't know why I can't remember his name. Maybe if I can remember it, I'll put the. But anyway, he's from Idaho, from Moscow, Idaho, and he always wears a sweater vest. And so maybe that was a little shot at him. But about the thing, when he says it has no functional definition, I don't know if that's true. As a matter of fact, it's a conceptual framework, and I know there's a lot of details to fill in. But, anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Let's continue.
Let's meet our contestants. First up is Maisie, a woman who is, like 19 or 56, and from the hair, I'm assuming is either a West Virginia bartender or somehow connected to an Ivy League university.
And my pronouns are she, her.
And we're sick of you already. Next up is Jerry Berry, the churchy fruit. Jerry recently traveled the cornball legalist to smug antinomian pipeline, which means he used to be kinda cute, but now he talks like a Methodist lady pastor attending a Mitt Romney prayer breakfast. Welcome to the show, Jerry.
Thank you, Kip. It's just such an honor to be a part of this pivotal faith conversation.
I'm going to tell you who I think this is. I'm pretty sure that's a shot at David French. I'm pretty sure that's David French. David French is a clown and worthy to be made fun of. Let's continue.
See what I mean? He's gross. All right, next up is an angry, disaffected, father-wounded young man desperately longing for community after being crushed by a world that taught him to despise his race, his sex, and his culture. And I was very close to feeling sorry for him until he chose to play the game under the cover of his anonymous social media avatar, which for some reason is this.
Don't dox me, you gay coward.
Hey, you might be worth...
You gay coward. Okay, so you got the parties here. It's basically, nut job, leftist, typical liberal white female, right? Then you got the angry young guy who's basically, I think that's probably supposed to be kind of your, basically your kind of like guy that was trying to do the right thing, and then he just got mad because everybody told him he should hate himself because he's white and he's male. So now he actually becomes racist so basically they made him a racist by beating him down all the time. And then you have your David French types, which is a type all of itself. So interesting little mishmash here.
Worse than Maisie.
Well, he is a white male.
And now you're tied. Okay, let's play the stupid game now. Contestants, for the purposes of this show, let's say that Christian nationalism is a social and governmental system in which Christianity is the driving force that shapes a nation's laws, people, and culture. Can we all agree to stick to that definition for the next 3 minutes?
Sure.
Fine.
Yes.
I don't believe you. Nevertheless, I'm going to show you a bunch of things that don't fit that definition at all. Then I'm going to ask you, is this Christian nationalism? All you have to do is say no, and you'll win the game. Let's play. Hey guys, is this Christian nationalism? Maisie.
Yes.
Ooh, incorrect.
But I see prayers and a flag. That's Christian nationalism.
And the definition of Christian nationalism is?
Christians vaguely existing in public.
I hate this job.
That is not Christian nationalism.
Very good, young man. 10 points
That's
for you.
Christian suicide.
And here we go.
Because race mixing is always a precursor to the destruction of Christian empire.
Guys, please, this is just a regular Christian couple praying that God would forgive them for using the power of the state to control other people's lives instead of focusing on their own self-wounds of brokenness.
I hate that answer.
Let's tame those.
Oh boy, I like. Well, the reason why I like this is because it kind of perfectly captures all of the completely wrong and weird, basically parties. When we think about like Christian nationalism, it's really funny because at the beginning he says it has no functional definition, and then right at the beginning he defines it as basically, hey, a system of government that is informed and the parameters basically are set by Christianity, right? Which seems like a fairly I understand that that's a fairly simple definition. Which Christianity are we talking about? Are we talking about Catholicism? Or are we talking about mainstream Protestant? So anyway, I do understand the difficulties there, but I think this so far perfectly encapsulates some of the parties involved, but basically all their weird ideas about the topic. So, all right, we'll continue.
Ovaries, dude.
You're worse than scabies.
All right, let's move on to round 2 before I lobotomize myself with a pool cue. Contestants, the man on the left is a secular liberal voting for a Democrat because their shared metaphysical presuppositions cause them to share political beliefs. That's called democracy. The man on the right is a conservative Christian voting for a Republican because their shared metaphysical presuppositions cause them to share political beliefs. That's called
Christian nationalism. No, he's doing Christian nationalism. We talk about this all the time at my school.
Please don't tell me you made the dean's list, Maisie.
I'm the dean.
I hunger for death. Well, I
hunger for death. I think they're doing a good job of encapsulating really just the weirdo culture of academia, the colleges, elite institutions in our nation today. They are threatened by any public expression of Christianity at all, right? Any public expression of Christianity is Christian nationalism in their view. Anyone who votes in accordance with Christian values is Christian nationalism, which is, just weird, right? And that really is just what they're just showing is just their hostility towards Christianity in general. And they want to basically push Christianity out of public life. So there's that.
I see our anonymous friend got banned again and has now switched to his alternate account named after an obscure 17th century theologian he's never actually read. So the gentleman on the right.
Direct election of senators is a Jewish conspiracy.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
Why are you a salamander now?
It's popular with the higher status man boys of my tribe, and I covet their validation.
Yeah, well, I covet the life of Job. Jerry Bear.
It's not Christian nationalism. Because it's not Christian, God gave us the separation of church and state for a reason, and the second we Christians start relying on political power to advance our causes is the second the secular left will start using that power against us.
They're already doing that.
We've been...
This is so perfect, right? I wrote an article on Substack. It has to have been well over a year ago, maybe even 2 years ago, called the 50-yard Christian nationalism in the 50-yard fallacy. And it's this idea that we exist to basically try to find some middle ground or common ground with those who hold have a different worldview or values than us. And the truth is that oftentimes that's impossible. Like, for example, if you take a case like abortion, for example, the bottom line is that if we're being consistent with our worldview, we're going to be moving towards basically outlawing abortion in all of its forms. But what the other side wants is basically abortion on demand for any reason at any time. And there's no middle ground between that. So what's going to happen is each side is going to be pushing to further their agenda and to get more freedoms or less, or more restrictions, whichever side you look at that as, for their side. And there's never going to be, you literally cannot split that baby, right? Either if deleting your children is in fact murder, then we can't allow it, right? And if it's not, then people will want to do it for any reason. They'll just treat it as any other medical procedure. And there's no two ways about it, right? Either one of those things is right and one of those things is wrong, and there's not going to ever be a truce on that. And so anyway, I like how they frame this, where they said, they're going to use, those people on the left are going to use their powers. They're already doing that. They're already using the political system to push Christians out of the public space, right? The public square. And the little strawberry guy, basically, just if you don't know who David French is, just look him up. This is exactly David French and his idiotic argument, because he's being nuanced and he thinks he's being Christian when really he's basically just weakening the influence and the status of Christians and Christianity more broadly in public life. And he thinks he's doing that because he's a Christian. He thinks his Christianity is driving that, when really it's just his cowardice, and I think really his low-key thirst for secularism, because there's a lot of people who pose as Christians that aren't really. So anyway, let's continue.
Doing that for a while.
I've literally never lived in a world where that wasn't happening.
I make the Christian student groups hold their meetings off campus at a sewage treatment facility.
I got arrested for saying Bible within 300 yards of a Planned Parenthood.
I failed math for assuming Pythagoras' gender.
We boo the Holy Trinity at our lacrosse games.
I bought my niece a Precious Moments Bible and got put on an FBI watch list.
I skipped a Sam Smith song on Spotify and got charged with a hate crime.
I'm having your bank account frozen right now.
But guys, imagine if they use that power against us.
Why are you the way you are?
It's a mystery, a puzzle that can never be solved, a riddle that can never be told.
Is it that you should have gotten a swirly 37 years ago but didn't?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, weird music at the end. Probably should watch that all the way through to get all of it, but basically understand that this is the kind of the world we live in, right? You have Christians saying, guys, we as Christians shouldn't exercise our political power, because if we do that, then the people on the other side will use their political power against us. They're already doing that. Like, what are you talking about? So we need to just tell David French to be quiet. Okay. But then there's obviously the college student, the person who's basically brainwashed by hardcore radical leftism. That person needs to be won and converted. And I think that what that person just needs is the gospel. And oftentimes those people get almost converted by reality. There's all of these women and all these people that, they grow up, they have a child, and then they realize that, wait a second, everything that I believe is stupid, because everything that I wanted everybody else to do, I don't want to push that on my child. Now, some people never grow out of it. And once you become a person who has a family, you become responsible for other people. A lot of times you sober up and snap out of your weird liberal ideas. Again, that doesn't happen to everyone, but it does happen to a good number of people who, after they get a family and become parents. And then, there's obviously the young fellow who's basically an extremist. He's basically the extreme right, is what he kind of supposed to represent, right? And there are a lot of people who I think are being created by this current milieu, right? The angry white guy who's always being told, hey, you need to, check your privilege, you're bad because you're white and male and Christian. And some people are going to be pushed to extremism because of that constant badgering and because of the constant harassment of people for just existing, right? And I said that, I made that point some time ago, if you remember, the Scott Adams situation. The guy that the Dilbert cartoon guy, and he had said some stuff, and some people took it a certain way. But Scott Adams is an example of what I'm talking about. Isn't represented necessarily by the the guy in that cartoon, but he is an example of how when you push people, you can create radicals, you can create extremists, and that's what basically what the current milieu is doing. And so anyway, I thought it was an interesting little thing to talk about and work through. Let me know what you think about that cartoon. I like to review some of this stuff. Still, Babylon Bee is the best. Freedom Tunes, I got to put them right behind them. But, Lutheran satire. Round of applause for them. I approve Lutheran satire. Let me know what you think about this content if you want to see more of it. Leave me a comment. Please do not forget to subscribe. Till next time, my friends, God bless you.